Mad by beccaliz27. Chapter 10. Anthony. Dearest gentle reader, it has come to this author's attention that Miss Penelope Featherington, most described by Mr. Colin Bridgerton as unmarriageable, was seen at Lord and Lady Cowper's looking lovely in a dress that was decidedly not yellow. Usually found at the edges of the ballroom with the dowagers and spinsters, Miss Featherington was seen dancing with Viscount Bridgerton, Mr. Benedict Bridgerton, the Duke of Hastings, and, surprisingly, the merry rake himself, Mr. Michael Sterling, who has only recently returned from Scotland. Perhaps Mr. Sterling is through with sowing his wild oats, and has come to London to finally find himself a wife. Judging by the close way he held his dance partner, it seems as if Miss Penelope Featherington may be at the top of that list. Although Miss Featherington is indeed a wallflower, this author believes it is only a matter of time before this wallflower blooms. Yours sincerely, Lady Whistledown.
"What are you ladies giggling about?"
asked Anthony as he entered into the drawing-room and found Eloise, Hyacinth and his fiancée Kate sitting upon the sofa looking at a piece of paper. At the sound of his voice, Kate looked up and quickly hid the paper behind her back. "Nothing, dearest," she trilled with a smile.
"Then why are you hiding it behind your back?"
teased Anthony as he tried to grab the paper that she was trying to keep out of his grasp. "Fine! Here," said Kate when she realised he would stop at nothing to retrieve it, including tickling her, which she absolutely abhorred. Anthony smiled at his soon-to-be wife before giving her a small kiss on the cheek, while Hyacinth and Eloise groaned. They were clearly tired of his and Kate's constant displays of affection. "You're not going to like it, brother," chirped Hyacinth gleefully from her spot on the sofa. Ignoring his sister, Anthony sat in a nearby chair and read what was Lady Whistledown's latest column. He was aware of Kate, Eloise's and Hyacinth's stares as he read the latest gossip. Once he finished, he looked up and let out a rather ungentlemanly "Bugger!" "Language, Anthony!" admonished his mother as she entered the drawing-room with Benedict following close behind her. "I do not want you speaking that way in front of the children." His mother gestured towards Gregory, and Hyacinth were giggling at their brother. They had indeed heard worse language from him.
"My apologies, mother," Anthony replied sheepishly.
Although he was the Viscount and the head of the household, his mother would always be able to put him in his place.
"What has you in a mood, brother?"
asked Benedict as he sat between Eloise and Hyacinth on the sofa and quickly stole a biscuit from Eloise's plate, who in turn smacked him on the arm.
"Read this,"
said Anthony as he handed the gossip sheet to his younger brother. "Oh dear," said Benedict. "It cannot be that bad," said Violet before taking the sheet from her son and reading it. "Oh, how wonderful! Why do you think this is unwelcome news, Anthony? This is surely a boon for Penelope, especially after what Colin said about her." Anthony sighed. His mother clearly did not understand Mr. Sterling or his reputation. While they were at Eton, Michael Sterling had an insatiable appetite for the young ladies. Anthony, who was known as one of the Ton's biggest rakes, paled in comparison to Michael Sterling. The amount of widows and unhappy wives that threw themselves at Sterling was astounding, not to mention servants, actresses, opera singers and barmaids. When he had seen Mr. Sterling dancing with Miss Featherington at Cowper's ball, he had instantly become worried. A worry that was shared by both his brother Benedict and his brother-in-law, the Duke of Hastings. They too knew of Sterling's reputation and were concerned about his attentions with Miss Featherington.
"Mother, Mr. Sterling is not suitable for Miss Featherington. Benedict and Simon agree as well. Penelope is too innocent and sweet for him," replied Anthony.
"What Aunt is trying to say, mother, is that Michael Sterling is the epitome of a rake," said Benedict. Violet scowled and let it huff. "Whether he is a rake or not is insignificant. You know my opinion on rakes anyway, Anthony." Anthony did his best not to roll his eyes at his mother. Yes, I know. Reformed rakes make for the best husbands." "I think Mr. Sterling was rather enchanted with Penelope. He even gave that awful Cowper girl the cut direct just to dance with Penelope," said Kate absent-mindedly, as she was still looking over the Lady Whistledown column that Violet had handed her. "What did Mr. Sterling do to Miss Cowper?" asked Benedict. Groaned Penelope. "Cressida was tormenting Penelope, as per usual. She had just made an awful comment about her when suddenly Mr. Sterling appeared from behind us and begged to be introduced to Ben." "And I was happy to introduce them," said Kate with a mischievous twinkle in his eyes. Anthony turned his gaze towards his fiancée.
I did not know you were acquainted with Michael Sterling.
I am not. I knew of him because he was on the list of suitors that we were considering for Edwina, replied Kate, although I did not know of his reputation at the time.
Kate added sheepishly when she saw her fiancé's glare. I should hope not, said Anthony.
Anyways, Mr. Sterling then asked Penn to dance the waltz with him. Cressida was quite put out as Mr. Sterling had asked her for the first waltz of the evening. When Cressida pointed this out to Mr. Sterling, he said that he'd changed his mind and wished to dance with Penelope instead. It was then that Violet let out a laugh, but immediately covered her hand with her mouth. Oh, that is quite scandalous. But I am quite sure that Miss Cowper had it coming. Back when I was a young debutante, Lady Cowper, or Miss Tattinger as she was known, was quite the bully, and I was somewhat of a wallflower. Her unkind barbs were often directed towards me.
He must have heard what Miss Cowper said and took pity on Penelope. I dare say this does speak well of him, said Anthony. He did recall that Sterling always defended the meek students when he was at Eton, especially his cousin John, who was now the Earl of Kilmartin. Perhaps we do not need to worry about him then, Benedict. It sounds like he is merely defending Miss Featherington against Miss Cowper, and does not have romantic intentions towards Miss Featherington. I have to say that would be a weight off my shoulders.
Anthony had not seen the look that was shared between his fiancée and his sisters, but Benedict had.
And what was with that look between the three of you?
Inquired Benedict as Anthony turned his head towards them. Oh, nothing, said Kate as she hid her smile behind her teacup.
Kate, you must tell us. We swore to Colin that we would watch over Penelope while he was away,
said Benedict. While Kate remained silent, Eloise smirked. I do not think Mr. Sterling was only interested in dancing with Penelope to save her from Cressida.
And why do you say that?
Only that when I was visiting Penelope this morning, he came to call on her with several other gentlemen. Penelope did spend most of the time with Mr. Sterling, and he brought her the most beautiful bouquet of tulips, gushed Eloise. He seemed quite smitten with her, and she with him. I do not think I will ever see her speak so openly and freely with another gentleman other than Colin. Mr. Sterling's behaviour does not strike me as someone who is seeking out a platonic relationship.
It does seem like he is trying to court Penn. That cannot be, cried Anthony before running a hand through his hair. Why did you not mention this earlier, Eloise? Benedict and I swore that we would protect her while Colin is away, and of course the minute he leaves, Penn starts attracting suitors, including the merry rake.
Ben, said Anthony. I always thought Penelope was so nice and pretty. She always makes sure to play with me and Hyacinth when she comes over, said Gregory sweetly. Hyacinth and I, dearest, said Violet, gently correcting her younger son. Hyacinth and I, replied Gregory with a slight roll of his eyes. I think that it is nice that she is being courted. She deserves the attention. Kate leaned over and kissed Gregory on the cheek, who then turned a bright red. It was well known that Gregory had developed a crush on his soon-to-be sister-in-law. Have I told you that you are my favourite soon-to-be brother-in-law? Hey, said Benedict. Eloise sighed and folded her arms across her chest. Has it ever occurred to you that Mr. Sterling may be serious about courting Penelope? Has he ever set his sights on gently bred ladies?
Well, no.
And I can assure you he was all politeness with Penelope this morning, said Eloise, interrupting her brother. In truth, I have not seen Penelope happy in such a long time. I know that you said you and Benedict would watch over Penelope, but you cannot stop someone from courting her, especially as it seems Mr. Sterling has good intentions, said Eloise before taking a deep breath. I think we all know how Colin feels about Penelope, even though he does not realise the depth of his feelings for her. However, it is not fair for Penelope to wait around for him to open his eyes and realise what is right in front of him. Penelope deserves happiness, and if Mr. Sterling can give it to her, then what more can we ask?
Anthony shook his head. He knew that his sister was right. It would be incredibly unfair to ask Penelope to wait for his idiotic brother to grow up and realise he had feelings for her. I can see your point. I'm only concerned for Penelope's well-being and happiness, as well as our brother's, of course.
Good, replied Eloise. Mr. Sterling has asked Penelope to promenade with him tomorrow afternoon if the weather is good. I think it would be nice if you were to come along and speak with him yourself. We will both go, said Benedict as he shared a look with his oldest brother.
Very well then, said Anthony.
We will all go, the whole family. I would like to meet this Mr. Sterling myself. Penelope is like another daughter to me, said Violet. Ladies, Gregory, shall we take a walk in the garden? I believe Anthony and Benedict need to have a private conversation, said Violet suddenly. It will be good for us to get some sunshine, she added before ushering her younger children out of the room. Anthony waited until the last of his siblings had left the room before he turned back towards Benedict. He did not want them to be overheard. Eloise does have a point, Anthony. We cannot stop gentlemen from courting Penelope just because we know Colin is in love with her. We cannot ask Penelope to wait for Colin. What if he never realises his feelings for her? Said Benedict. I know. But there has to be something we can do. Colin will be devastated if he returns home to find Penelope is engaged or even married. He will never forgive himself for not giving in to his feelings. Anthony thought for a moment on the best course of action. It was then that Hyacinth came bouncing back into the room, a pink rose from the garden in her hair. Anthony smiled, an idea forming in his mind. I forgot my hat, said Hyacinth brightly before turning to make her way out. Oh, Hyacinth! Hyacinth turned towards her eldest brother, a cute smile on her face. How would you like to send a letter to Colin? End of chapter. Hi guys, hope you enjoyed that. Good chapter, that one. That was quite fun. And I like that they're having these genuine discussions. And they're right, Penelope shouldn't have to wait for Colin. But I like that the boys are willing to give Colin a nudge in the right direction if it means, like, that window of time is closing. So getting him back in time to make his move. Anyway, you guys know the drill. Like, comment and subscribe, yada yada yada. Anyway, love you guys. Bye!